Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to this episode, which is episode 11 of the Dr. Patrick Flynn Show. I am your host, Ross Gorjevsky, joined by the one and only Dr. Patrick Flynn, a.k.a. the Hormone Whisperer. And ladies and gentlemen, the beautiful thing about today, not only is it Tuesday, it's a brand new day, and it's noon, and you get to spend the next 30 minutes with us. But this man right here just turned 1 year older. So let's just do one thing real quick. If you're right there by your computers, do me a favor, find that comment box and just send him a little happy birthday. Doc, happy birthday, my brother.
Thanks, man.
How you doing today?
Hey,
come on.
Doing awesome. It's been a great birthday so far. Got surprised by my staff, and we had a wonderful time, and it's just been a beautiful day to start my birthday. So,
do you feel older?
Actually, no joke. I have more fun, and I get more energetic as years go on.
For 73, you look amazing.
I'm doing awesome for 70.
This is the wellness way right here.
That's right.
I want you to really take notice. As you age, if you're part of the wellness way, 160, baby, you look like you're 40.
You're going. You keep going. You know what I'm saying?
It's a beautiful thing. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us every Tuesday. We continue to thank you for your likes and your shares. Continue to help us by spreading the message of the wellness way. Not only just the message of the wellness way, but the content that comes to you daily because of your questions. Once again, if you have questions, please send them to Ask Dr. Patrick at twwclinics.com. And today we've got a lot of great information for you that is going to be coming to you because of the questions that you sent to us. Continue throughout this whole episode today to like, share, go down there, find the thumbs up, the heart, the mad face, the smiley face, the ha 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 face, and click away, please.
There's going to be a lot of angry faces today.
I can imagine. You know, it seems really, to be honest with you, to this day yet, we have not really got a lot of hate mail yet.
Actually,
and we're putting it out there.
It's actually gone down since we started doing the show.
It's probably because they don't want to listen.
Well, I think the fact is, you know, it's like when we just did the cannabinoid seminar. I mean, I've never spoken on it. I've never taken a stance on some of that. Right. But I noticed kept on getting emails on it that way. The minute I put out that I'm going to speak about it, guess what happened? Woo!
Yeah.
You know, people come out of the woodworks, people that I've never talked to, they couldn't look at any YouTube video or anything I've ever posted, and then all of a sudden be like, you know, criticize my stance.
Sure.
Then all of a sudden, I do the seminar, and guess what happens? Everybody loves my stance.
Absolutely.
They're like, oh my goodness, Doc, because you made it so simplistic, so scientific, and so understand that way. They actually got angry on the flip side and stuff, but not at what we were saying is how the laws are today that way. So it's been like, now that we've been able to explain in great detail, and they said, remember, we used to sit and look at all these emails going, man, I got to answer all these things. And I'm like, and there are some similarities to all of them that way. Sure. And we always wanted to answer them. But since we've been able to do it now, we've gotten less. Yes. And so, but I think today we may start that trend.
But I think what really sets the stage for this, though, and this is why it's wonderful that you join us every week, because the reason why this information is coming in your way is so that we can help you have an engaged conversation with all of those people who just have stances against something without information to back it up, an emotionally charged stance with no content to be able to argue that platform that they take. And that's what you do. You come not with just a stance, but you also have content. You have information. You have factual evidence and clinical results to back it up. So therefore, how do you argue with it?
Well, I always tell people say, well, my doctor said, you're sick. Who the hell cares what your doctor said? Do you say? And I love that. Well, my OB said this. How many years been seeing him? 10. You're sick. Who cares? Tell him to shut his pie hole and go to a different doctor.
Sorry, we got to get back to that. Shut your pie hole.
That's right.
And that's what it does. I think when you bring information, that's what it does. It shuts people's pie holes. So with that, I'm excited about today. So I would actually, maybe if you're watching, please, if you don't agree with us, send in an email, please.
Sure.
For the love of God, please send us an email because we would love to address it. We would love to actually address a naysayer for once.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, because most of the naysayers, for example, talk about things that we haven't talked about yet.
Exactly.
And they make judgments of what they think we're going to do. So if you ask a question, you can give me a chance to explain and then argue if you want from their point.
Absolutely.
You're saying? But that's the point. That's the whole idea of the show. And
And the first one here.
Oh, here we go.
It's wonderful because remember we've said a lot of this is family.
Yes.
Right? It's families have opinions, your friends have opinions, your doctors, pediatricians, whatever have opinions. So this is where this email is coming at today. So here we go. Lady writes in and says, my baby is 6 months old and my pediatrician is telling me that I have to start introducing solid food into her diet. I have friends that say to wait as long as possible, and some agree with my pediatrician. what do you suggest, Dr. Flynn, for time in regards to introducing solid foods to my baby's diet?
Yes.
Here we go.
Here we go. Now, before we're going to set the stage for this, because this is what happens with moms. This is the biggest thing that happens with moms. All of a sudden, if you have two mothers discussing something, so forget us, just have two mothers discussing something that way. One woman, for example, tells what she does, okay? And if it's different than the other mother, automatically the mother is judgmental or starts retaliating against the other mother, because when they just ask what you do and you explain to them, they're like, well, I don't do that. Am I a bad mom? Do you see it? So this is what's going to come about that way. And that's the thing that this question, for example, sets up for a lot of emotion for all you moms out there, okay? But let's go back to this. A lot of stuff, for example, that you have done health-wise is basically out of ignorance, which is, I don't know, or you've listened to somebody that you shouldn't be listening to.
Yep.
Okay? Here's what happens. Step number one. Do not listen to your pediatrician when it comes to actually, well, virtually everything, but when it comes to foods, okay? I mean, my goodness. But let's start here. Where the heck? Now, here's what happens. I'll give you my answer, but we're going to set up this way. I want somebody to show me, with the exception of the American Academy of Pediatrics, which gets paid by every formula company in the world, which gets paid by vaccine companies, which get money from everything that way, where they ever get the idea of 6 months.
Yeah, exactly.
That never came from the body. Because I'm going to walk you through how the body works. And if you introduce your food at your kids 6 months, sometimes even earlier than a year, you can make them sick. You say, Doc, wait, no, I make my own food. I make all my own stuff that way. I do everything. It's all organic. It doesn't matter. You make them organically sick. And this is where some of the moms now are listening to us and going, well, that's not true. Yes, it is. Now, let me explain why, okay? Now, let me make the statement and then back it up with how the body actually works. Because there's one term that, for example, has really set the stage for this understanding, and it's called leaky gut. So let's go here. I don't believe, for example, when you look at the body and how it's made, and how it functions, and how the body develops, that anybody should have food any earlier than 1 year.
Interesting.
Now, what sets that stage for that answer? Well, it's quite simple. When a child is born, for example, it's dependent on breast milk. The breast milk itself, for example, is large glycoproteins, okay? It's mainly made up of sugar, fats, and proteins, and a lot of sugar, actually, too.
Yes.
Okay, that's why if you look at baby formulas, they're trying to model it after or resembles a little bit of breast milk, and there actually is a lot of sugar in there, okay? But here's what happens. So what they do now is all those proteins that come, all the immunoglobulins that come through the breast milk actually have to pass through the child's digestive system. And if the gut wasn't leaky, if it wasn't permeable, guess what happened? Actually, a lot of it would actually never pass through. Sure. Because those immune cells, for example, are way too large to get through there. Those proteins are way too large to get through there. Now, if you look at biology and how the body now starts to actually develop and grow and consume, now here, the body gives you clues. Here's what happens. When do we roughly get teeth? You know what I'm saying? If you really think about it this way, we really start to get most of our teeth around a year old. Now, I know some of you guys, my child got a tooth at 4 months. Yes, they got a tooth, okay? Right, you can't chew too much food with tooth, all right? So the idea is this, but then what happens is this. There's also enzymatic processes that change for digestion. The stomach changes, the liver and gallbladder change, and all this thing grows and matures in about a year. Now, can I say kids could be at 10 months, some kids could be at 16 months? Yes, it can. So where they get this idea that a child has to have food at 6 months, and here's the stupid stuff. Here we go, okay? Here's the idiotic stuff, is when your pediatrician says, if they don't get food at this time, they're going to become malnourished. Where did they come up with that? Yes. They literally pull stuff out of their butt all the time, and they act like it's truth. If they speak loud enough, and they say, my degrees. Guys, listen. I'll tell you right now, if your pediatrician starts talking about anything when it comes to foods and when to give it to them, they say, and they actually lean on their degree, or the American Academy of Pediatrics say, listen, I don't believe people have a PhD in flat earth. Do you say? Because they're wrong. They're completely wrong. The physiology and the function of the body does not work that way. So when you're introducing those foreign proteins, which is aka organic food or not, God bless, a lot of people are starting to get away from formulas that, for example, that are very bad. Now wait, let's catch a little thing here. Are there women out there that actually can, have a hard time breastfeeding, have inverted nipples, have all these problems? Yes, we understand those. Those are the exceptions. That's not a rule. Mm-hmm. Now, here's the other thing that comes about. I know what women are doing right now because they've questioned me on this before. Well, Doc, I had to go to work. I understand. Let me say something to you that's going to sound extremely insensitive because our culture has changed. What happens, people say, well, Doc, I go to work and I have to do this stuff. It's inconvenient. I understand. If it's that inconvenient, don't have freaking kids. Honestly.
Come on now.
If you want children and then you want to grow them up properly, I'm sorry, your life changes. You know, we always yell at guys and say, "Hey, guys, the guy didn't want to give up his boating and give up his golf because now the children and a woman's yelling at him that way." And all of a sudden, a woman goes, "Well, I don't want to breastfeed past 3 months." Okay, that's fine, but guess what? Then understand that the guy can't breastfeed,
right?
And it's inconvenient. Yes, ladies, I know. Trust me, my wife breastfed 4 kids for all over 2 years, each child that way. I understand it's tough, but we're going to get into some real stuff as far and saying, listen, don't give me the emotional stuff of saying I had to go back to work. I understand, but then don't also complain when your child's sick. Don't complain when your child has allergies. Don't complain when these things happen that way. So your pediatrician's actually wrong. Anybody that tells you need food earlier in 6 months, well, they're creating illness right from the start that way. That's not how the body works. Look it up. The leaky gut and the intestinal hypermobility starts to change and actually starts to close at roughly an average a year. That's your science. Do you see them? That's your science. When they say, well, tell me science about it. Your science is how the body actually grows and develops, and when, for example, it should be introduced food, because if it introduced too early,
yes,
that gut is wide open, your best healthy organic food can pass right through there.
So so 6 months, definitely don't do that. Don't listen to your pediatrician. You're saying a year. Now, when it comes to breastfeeding, what do you recommend? How long should a woman breastfeed her child?
As long as she wants. We live in a culture that people freak out if they breastfeed a 3-year-old. Do you see what I'm saying? You go back 100 years ago, heck, most of the time they couldn't afford food, so breast milk was the best option. And you hear these stupid things I said before. A child become malnourished. You don't really get much after 6 months or a year. Where did they make this crap up? I swear they pull this stuff out to actually push our agenda. Do you know what's really funny? Back in the, don't quote me exactly, but I got to go back to my notes on this. Back in the 60s and stuff like that, they convinced women not to breastfeed at all. When formula and food companies have become popular that way, saying, listen, don't breastfeed, go right to formula. Yeah, how'd that do for us?
Wow.
Do you understand? And then on top of it, we've got this culture that actually thinks that breastfeeding is actually some dirty thing. You know what I'm saying? You walk by,
especially for publicly breastfeeding your child, right? Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, my goodness. Breastfeeding, guys, be sympathetic for a woman that was trying to breastfeed. It's tough. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so if they have to breastfeed in public, be compassionate to a mother that way.
Absolutely.
It's a tough thing. So yeah, I know there's a lot of people that are going to be like, oh, and here's what happens, ladies. I know what you're thinking if you disagree. Let's say you disagree emotionally. Well, no, listen, guys, I'm sorry. I don't care about your feelings. You know what I'm saying? If you're offended, who cares? Get in line. I'm trying to give you information that's going to keep your kids from being freaking sick and all these problems, all these skin problems, all these allergy problems that way that lead to all this ADD. You know what I'm saying? Start feeding your kids organic food early. Good. Give them attention deficit from the same food later when they're supposed to eat it that way. Good
information.
And it's like, so it's frustrating because look at how the body works. So guys, here's what happens. Look at when the GI starts to develop and actually be able to take food. Lo and behold, the whole body changes. Your mouth, your enzymatic processes, your stomach, your liver, your gallbladder, and now it's ready to introduce foreign things. Guys, listen, at least breast milk, if you think about it, it's actually not that foreign. It's actually made for that baby. It's so cool. Do you see what I'm saying? The mother's body knows exactly what it needs to do. It's just fascinating. It's kind of cool because, people say, I always tell people when you look at formulas, just in general, because, I hate formulas, but look at the formulas. They change as actually the age of the child changes that way. It's kind of cool because the breast milk changes too. It changes immensely. Now people say, well, doc, how does it know how to change? Actually, this is how cool it is. As that child's body changes, the saliva, the hormones in the saliva change, and when it touches the nipple, guess what it does? The nipple is a sensory organ. Guys, believe it or not, the nipple wasn't really made for you, okay? You know how much we like them, they're not made for you, okay? But here's what happens. The nipple is a sensory organ, and then it attaches that hormone, and it changes the baby's demands. See, so when they say that there's no nutritional value after 6 months or a year, where the heck did they get that from? They're pushing an agenda because you know why? Similac and all of them are showing up at their offices with free samples and pens and free dinners and everything to push their agenda. Stop.
Right.
Stop the insanity that way. It's just frustrating all the heck because you're making these kids sick. You don't have to believe me. Just do it. Get your kids sick and you end up with the process that way.
Yep.
And ladies, I understand. I understand you're working moms. I understand all stuff. Trust me. I know it is. But remember, If kids were convenient, nobody would have them.
Just going to say, yeah.
No one would have them.
Absolutely.
See, so this is an emotional thing because they want to argue with me emotionally and not the way the body's made. They want to argue that they had to go back to work. I understand you have to go back to work. But then breast pump. Do something that way. Kids, for example, it's really funny. My oldest is 14 now. Where'd the time go? Trust me, it's such a short time. A year goes by so fast, you never realize that it's gone so quickly in the first place.
Absolutely. Now, you did say something here real quick. You said organically sick babies. Mm-hmm. You can even, in your approach to trying to wean them off breast milk and getting them on to solid foods too quick, even though it's organic, you can make them very sick. Because that's an interesting statement right there. Organically sick babies.
Yeah. Yeah, but we got to remember. For example, as you understand, we hate toxic food. You're saying stay away from processed foods. You stick to your organics. Go to your local organic farmer. Make sure you know where your sources come from. Get the best stuff possible. Okay? But here's what happens. It's like having a food allergy. Just even go there. If you have a massive allergic reaction to an egg and you eat it and you die, I don't care if it's organic or not. You're organically sick. Sure. You're saying. So when you start putting things into the body that the body starts to react to negatively that way, it doesn't matter if it's organic or not. It's gonna be sick. You're going to still end up with some form of illness. So yeah.
I love it. Awesome. Well, let's dive into question number 2. Here we go. You ready? My name is Nelly. I'm Mexican, currently living in Saltillo in north part of Mexico. I recently heard about Dr. Patrick, and I had the opportunity to listen to one of his conferences via YouTube. I just believe he is so true. I'm currently having a lot of problems with my 15-year-old teenage daughter. Mm-hmm. We had the most horrible year. Her hormones just went crazy. Testosterone was so high that she began to have terrible acne.
Right.
I probably went to see 15 different doctors trying to find answers to what is happening to her and to what her future will be like. One doctor even told me she will never be able to have children. Mm-hmm. She says, I've cried so many nights. I don't know what to do. I hate giving her so many medications.
Yep.
She's only 15. She's currently taking, now this is going to be one of those crazy things. It's like mentioning names in the Bible. You don't always get them. Isotretinoin. Okay,
yes.
Well, that's good. Thank you very much. And spironolactone. Lactone. There we have it. Thank you. There's the professional with the words. There we go.
Spironolactone.
There we go. And she goes on to say, I don't believe this is the correct path. I think I'm hurting her. Please help me. Is there a chance I can reach Dr. Patrick? Yes, today you are, to explain to him in a more detailed way her case. I'll be so happy to hear what he can tell you. So here we go, Nelly. Listen in.
Well, here, and I'd like to get more information, but let's do this, okay? The reason why, for example, when she had some severe acne, they tested testosterone, because it's very common. This is a very common thing, ladies. A lot of times women have no sex drive and testosterone is depleted, okay? On the flip side, especially when they're young, their testosterone, for example, can get very elevated and it converts to a hormone called DHT, and which can lead to massive acne. So just like when a woman gets breast cancer and a certain estrogen, for example, becomes elevated, what they'll do is they'll put them on some aromatase inhibiting drug to try to drive those estrogen levels down, because it can lead to that metastasis of the breast tissue that way. Same thing happens with acne, but it's more testosterone related that way, okay? Now, it's kind of interesting because here's what happens. The medication, for example, the isotretinoin, okay, guess what happens? Actually, it's a really cool trick that they did. Actually, a disgusting trick, but here's what they did. That actually is Accutane. Remember all of the commercials for Accutane like crazy? Yes. But what they did is they had to change it, and they changed the name for what purpose? Does anybody know why? The purpose they changed the name because they had massive lawsuits against that medication, against Accutane, because of massive GI problems it was causing. Now, how is it goes from an acne medication and causing actually GI problems? Well, see, this is the difference between why the Wellness Way approach and all of our doctors are so different. Everything that we talk about is based on biochemistry and physiology. That's why no one can argue with it unless they argue emotionally. Do you understand?
Yep.
Because let me explain. If you look at that medication, it inhibits some of the pathways for hormones to convert. And of course, if you inhibit testosterone, your skin will change and you will see a positive effect. The bad part is this. All those hormones, for example, metabolize and change within the liver. Now, remember, the liver, the gallbladder, the pancreas, all part of what system? The digestive tract. See, so now it's extremely toxic for the liver. It also alters its metabolism. Actually, it says it alters steroid metabolism. when people use that word, steroid metabolism, they think, well, metabolism, that's not bad. No, metabolism just means conversion from one form to another. Sure. It's like if I want to go through 8 to 4 or 1 to 4, I have to go step 2 and 3. And between those are metabolites. And guess what happens? And if I can interfere with one of them, the end result won't get to 4.
Sure.
Okay, so therefore, if the result's 4 in acne, if we can disrupt that, here we go. But in order to do that, see, that's why I always said, medical research and medical science, medical research and medical practice never line up. Because what they do is they understand all these pathways, but they're always trying to inhibit them or stimulate them or change them instead of find out why they're off and get them back to normal. That's the major difference in approach. They're always come from an end stage alteration instead of normalizing this whole physiological response. Yes. That's why all our doctors are massively trained. Look at this weekend.
Oh, I know.
I kid you not. In Traverse City this weekend, I will actually break down, Nicole and I will break down all the pathways, all the metabolic pathways that way, what it takes to convert them, and how to normalize them, but how to test them properly in a way that doctors don't test. So the sad thing is, her daughter, for example, which even could have started this whole hormonal cascade. See, that's why ladies, young ladies, you got to be very careful, because if you stress your liver out, if you stress your adrenals out, guess what happens? You're going to end up with hormonal problems before you even cycle. So when you actually see all these young kids around drinking soda, not a joke, that soda, your liver and your pancreas and everything have to change so dramatically to alter that. Then all of a sudden, when you have pathways like having the menstruation, good luck not throwing it off.
Right.
See, so that's why when you look at, there's so many cholesterol panels that are off today, both in men and women, because why? Everything is metabolized through that liver. Hormones, cholesterol, a lot of our constituents, we have to detox through it that way.
Sure.
And so this young lady, for example, her body, by the time she hit menstruation, guess what happened? Now, levels are going to be produced because the brain says, listen, we're going to activate all those organs and start producing hormone. And now for it to metabolize and break down and change in its forms, it can't. And then one of those pathways gets stuck. And testosterone starts to go high, and all of her body starts to change. She's probably, this young lady at 15 years old is probably aggressive. Okay, she's probably, for example, having, she probably has a hard time sleeping. She probably, for example, has very angry on a regular basis. Mood that swings, way.
High degree.
Now, here's the fun thing about that medication also. It's quite interesting. I pulled up Mayo Clinic's drug, description of it that way. It's really interesting because here's what happens. Here's what it says. It's contraindicated in all trimesters of pregnancy. It's contraindicated in all trimesters. Why? Studies in animals and pregnant women have demonstrated positive evidence of fetal abnormalities. Okay, so now it gets better. If you go to the next page on Mayo Clinic's website, now guys, just type in the medication and go to the Mayo Clinic website.
That's right.
Here,
it's all there.
The drug comes with a patient information form and medication guide. It's very important that you read this, understand it. Women of reproductive age, so anybody from the ages of puberty till roughly 50s, okay, must sign up for a pregnancy risk program called I Pledge. And they trademarked it. It's a program that says, I pledge that if I can't have kids, I can't come back and sue you.
Sue you, yes, yep.
Isn't this crazy?
CYA policy.
The insanity of this freaking crap. And then what happens is, I'm the crazy doc. Dr. Jason's the crazy doc. Yep. All these docs across Wellness Way are crazy docs. No, we're not. We're sick of this. And so this young lady at 15 years old, what's sad? The whole thing that's the most sad part is this way. This poor young lady, and we're getting emails from all over the world. This poor young lady in Mexico is just looking for help for her daughter. Yes. This is what's happening. The sad part is this. This happens all the time. Doc, I'm so excited. Wellness Ways all over the country, and you guys are so busy. Okay, I understand they're excited because we're doing great work. But people, guys, listen. The reason why we're so busy is because the current system and the thinking of healthcare is so broken that we're flooded, and no one ever comes to us first. And heck, when you do come to us, your doctors actually, even as you're sick, they'll say, well, I disagree with that. Really? You disagree with that? They're sick. Do you understand? So I said, this is the things that these young ladies are dealing with that way. And you're right. You give them that medication, guess what happens? It can destroy their fertility.
Absolutely.
It's frustrating. It's like,
So the mother is, she is right in saying, I really am hurting my daughter by continuing down this path and not challenging your thinking and just.
But she's really not hurting her daughter though. She's trying to.
Because she feels that she is.
She's not her daughter. That mom is trying to do everything she can.
Yes.
She has a suffering young lady at home, and this woman is willing to do anything to reach out to us, to reach out to anybody that way. And guess what? She's trying to find something that works. She's trying to find answers that way. And the reason why we talk about biochemistry and physiology and how the body works all the time, so when people tune in, they go, this makes sense.
Yes.
So the key for this young lady, step number one, guess what? Here's the cool thing. She's in Mexico, so the Mexico doctor can't get mad at me on this one. Stop that medication for one thing.
Right.
Okay? It's like, oh my goodness. You know what I'm saying? Because I can't get sued from Mexico.
Right.
So, no, but the idea is this. It's like the medication alone, that there should be questions to the doctor on that. Obviously, get her tested properly, because I guarantee they did not test her properly that way. But on the flip side, you got to remember, when hormone conversion happens, ladies, take this very seriously. Detoxing is extremely important. Really do. Now, don't get me wrong. You have to be tested on what you're going to detox. 3 of my wonderful docs, Dr. Zach from Appleton, Dr. Sampson from Montana, Dr. Laura from Iron Mountain, Michigan, that way. They're teaching. The liver detox, the whole process is so detailed. We had to break it down to 3 different doctors. Do you know what I'm saying? For them to teach it that way. They practice it all the time and they know what they're doing, but it's so much detail of all those pathways and all those things going on that guess what? We broke it down into 3 docs teaching it, because you need a doc to walk you through this. Do you know what I'm saying? You need it, because that's why, for example, if you don't, something could go very wrong. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's why having a good doc that guides you through that process is imperative. So this young lady down in Mexico needs to find a doc.
Absolutely.
She's in Mexico. We got offices in Texas.
Yes, we do.
Bring them there. You know what I'm saying? We got amazing docs. We got 3 amazing docs down in Texas. We got Dr. Cynthia, we got Dr. Brenda, we got Dr. Beth, we got 4. We got Dr. Angie. Yes.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And so what happens? We got 4 wonderful docs. And we got somebody down in offices I even forget. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
No, but we got those 4 wonderful female docs down in Texas that can help her. Yes. You know what I'm saying? And they will test her properly and they get on the right path, because remember, a 15-year-old girl, her life is just starting. Look at my wife. What they can do and how it can create fertility. It's kind of funny. It was like I did my hormone connection seminar, and I got an email. It was a criticism email, actually. It was kind of fun. Okay, but this is a long time ago. This was like back in February that way, and this person wrote in and said because the hormone connection seminar is giving you a big idea of everything that way, and it gets you to start thinking differently. And this woman criticized, says, I don't believe Doc because he never told me what his wife suffered from. I know, I'm like going, if you want to know what my wife suffered on, maybe we should bring our wives on the show one day. Do you understand? Bring my beautiful bride, bring your beautiful bride on here.
Right.
Yes, so it actually let them tell the story.
From me.
Yeah. Number 1 cause for illness, Ross. Okay. No, but it's cool because they said it's a very personal issue to where women go through those things, and it's tough. So this young lady starting her life off, it's affecting her physically. The mom's watching her pretty much go crazy psychologically that way. And if she continues, here's what happens. My doctor said, yeah, your doctor's going to, now I'm not being critical of the woman that word there, I'm saying, but when your doctor says, my doctor said, yeah, you keep your daughter on that path, she's going to have a rough life. There's going to end up being, I was reading some of the questions we got over last week. Women actually are on so many psychiatric medications. I think we have to do one pretty soon here because they're coming in by the droves right now, psychiatric questions. But the idea is it's like they start off on birth control. And then what do? They move into psychiatric medications, GI medications, and other illnesses that way by first altering all their hormones when they're young. And that's where it's stemming from. So,
hey, real quick, Doc, by the way, Dr. Brenda Hasbrock just said, hey, I've been to Saltillo and I would love to help.
Oh, so Dr. Brenda.
Yes,
she's down there. She's been in the area. So she's one of our Houston doctors down there.
Absolutely.
Get a hold of Dr. Brenda. The awesome. Dr. Brenda would save that young lady's life.
Absolutely. And that's honestly, even as I'm sitting here listening to a lot of this information, as many of you are watching today, it's new information for me. I'm a guy. I don't deal with this type of stuff. I've got a daughter right now who's 6 years old, and I know some of these things will be on my radar as she gets older. So it's even for me, it's putting things into perspective on how to really be that parent that is in better control of setting the stage for her to succeed in a way that is so important when it comes to health.
Well, if you think about it this way, I'm going to step in and I'm going to correct you on one thing.
What's that?
Your daughter, it won't be on your radar. Do you know why? Because just like my daughters, when they get of age, we will test them before any of this leads to it that way.
True story.
And so that's the cool part is we set our kids up for success. I always said this. All of our doctors' kids have no idea how lucky they are.
Yeah.
And not being, arrogant about that, going, but we set our kids up the way we start and the way we do stuff that way. And you're wrong. But on that point, here's what happens. No matter where you're starting, you can always make things better.
Absolutely.
You can be sick as a dog right now. Find a doc, for example, that actually can guide you to actually get you back to that normalcy that way. And I will tell you right now, the Wellness Way doctors are the best.
Absolutely.
And they're trained highly, including this weekend.
So, Nelly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out to you in an email, and we're going to make sure that you get connected with one of the docs down in Texas. And ladies and gentlemen, we are excited. We go to Traverse City this coming week, August 18th and 19th, for an amazing training seminar with all of our docs so that we can continue to bring you the best treatment possible. So we look forward to coming to you live from Treetops next Tuesday as we golf. We'll see you then.